Ministry of Defense of Ukraine taking into account all directly hinted at the fact that the supply Western tanks in the woods on the table in the most practical sense because interpret the official tweet that is already raised a whole wave of discussions differently quite difficult especially since in fact these are just two models of Western tanks which can really be supplied in a significant amount and most importantly without a significant threat to Allied defense capabilities in particular Abrams only stock in the US. All versions are tentatively composed according to the military balance of more than 3,400 units. A Leopard 2 due to the fact that it is pan-European tank may well transfer to the deposit though dispose of other people's property always extremely easy but what has already been announced supplying IFVs such as German Marder and American Bradley as well as French AMX-10 RS combat vehicles give confidence that Western tanks are quite possible consider in the near future and the question arises which of them is better than Ukraine Abrams or Leopard 2 but first you need to consider which versions of these machines will be discussed because for a decade of Abrams' existence and Leopard 2 have passed numerous modernization and it would be rather naive consider what the VSU can be. The latest versions have been delivered M1A2 SP3 and Leopard 2.7 especially since an example of a Bradley IFV that would be not supplied in a modern version M.2.3 explicitly states this. If follow this logic then in relation to Abrams is probably the most likely the version will be M1A1 but also need to be considered that this version has as many as 7 main variants of them are the main ones that can be distinguished 3 variant first M1A1 and whose EM1A1 HP who received new sets of armor from United Uranus and subsequently upgraded to the next versions of the option second M1 and 1A and M. Versions 1 and 2 this is the version that was in full restoring the machine to a state so say 0-hour updates and tools communication and thermal imaging surveillance sight for machine gun which plays a role commander's panorama in V2 version updated booking and installed tactical information system FBCB2 it was also supplied to the Marine US Infantry in subversion FVP option 3 meters 101 adds this version is for Marines SAR na Osnov -2 Kotori us Snali s Vorozenia IV Kotoroi Ustanavlan Modernizirovaní Teplovizany Prysel I Denevna Sivetna Camera a taxe Ulyaksina Bronirovaní eti versi postavlalis na export v Avstraliu I Polsu Morocco Polusula versiu s uprosenim Bronirovaniem bez United Uranus and Iraq in general its own a separate version of M1 or 1 meter parts of which still not officially disclosed but most likely concerned the simplification of the system and it is possible to lead to the following compressed characteristics of M1 or 1. 120 mm smoothbore gun M256 with 44 gauge barrel length from rain metal is the main ammunition which is subcaliber uninterrupted APFS DS trademark 829 in feather projectile different first versions M829 or 1. Stitched Soviet tanks back in time the time of the Desert Storm operation thanks to a penetrator of depleted Uranus and muzzle velocity 1.57 km per second modern version M829A3 was created for guaranteed countering contact 5 Russian cars and most likely with accounts maximum possible and unrealistic features of this new 800 mm protection penetration and 2-section penetration increased diameter up to 25 mm which guarantees an armor penetration of 800 mm. The first section of tungsten takes over leveling of dynamic protection second from the United Uranus flashes basic armor for accuracy of fire. Meets a modern control system with more than quality thermal imaging devices in particular even on old machines already installed high thermal imaging sight sensitivity with 3 and 10 times magnification between which you can switch a digital ballistic laser rangefinder calculator and others standard things for Western technology you don't even have to mention mobility. Abrams is provided with gas turbine Honeywell AGT 1500 with automatic gearbox S&X 11003B for 4 front and 2 reverse gears despite for newer versions of Leopard 2 as surprising as it may be. But the most likely option for Ukraine remains Leopard 2. 4 is a version of the tank which corresponds to the level of the middle 80s early 90s for Western machines. Note that partially to this the level in Russia approached only in mid-2010s and only for some individual items cause why it is the Leopard version 2 and 4 banal only this version of the tank is in sufficient numbers in service and on warehouses of possible donors in particular Finland has 100 tanks in stock this version of Spain 108 Leopard 2.4 in build as well as a certain number on warehouse Poland 12-6 Germany minimum 55. Leopard 2.4 in stock, 16 in similar status in Norway and 36 in service as well. Need to add 42 Leopards 2.4 from Canada, which are generally used as targets, but 183 Greek Leopard 2.4 as well as 56 Austrian, 48 Hungarian, 316 Turkish can be disregarded by different and individual reasons for each. The country's separate alternative is famous transfer of a hodgepodge of I-4 versions of the A5 A6, but it seems a few less likely. A discussion which is better can be quite fierce, because what in version 5 if you take the main moments added additional protection and commanders panorama A and A6 also replaced the gun with probably the best one now, the World RS-120L55, which is longer standard and has great firepower, returning to the Leopard 2A4 version with gun ARAH-120L44. Then you can just note why it is under the name M256 install on all Abrams versions, i.e. Firepower Leopard 2.4 EM1A1 Abrams can be considered the same that as for the fire control system. Even in version 4 it is about thermal imaging devices from Xeberler and a fully digital system that allows you to conduct accurate fire on the move on off-road at a range of up to 5 km. Level booking at Leopard 2.4. Despite what is in this version of the tower protection equipped with new tungsten elements and titanium can be considered less than M1A1 Abrams, but it also provides protection against subcaliber ammunition of the Soviet sample at a range of 1.5 km. Relative to driving characteristics, top 55-ton. The machine has 1.500 horsepower 12-cylinder turbocharged diesel RNA and emergency PV transmission WL354, also automatic, and has also 4 forward gear and 2 reverse gears. By the way, you can turn on the reverse even before complete stop of the tank at speeds up to 8 km/h. It is the rotation speed of the machine in place is only 10 seconds, but if raise a speech about the need for equipment Leopard 2.4 set of armor from Leopard 2.5, then it increases the weight of the machine to approximately 62.5 tons, which in any case will affect its driving characteristics. Thus comparing the M1A1 Abrams and Leopard 2.4 clearly shows that we are talking about almost identical machines, and this is not surprising because both are different branches of the same project, MVT-70. When USA and Germany tried to create a single fire tank, the power of the machine is identical to the control system fire. Due to newer packages, updates from Abram will be able to be considered the best, but not the fact that VSU will get latest version M1A1 level booking. An American car quite can be considered better than Leopard 2.4. In theory, this can be leveled by installing elements. Protection against Leopard 2A5 mobility is provided by the same in terms of engine capacities. A lot for turbine engine has a higher flow rate fuel and more difficult to maintain and repair at the same time. Fuel consumption is not catastrophically more if you take conditional paper indicators. Leopard 2 consumes 3.4 liters per road kilometer and 5.3 liters off-road. Abrams in turn 4.3 liters per kilometer on the road and 8 liters on kilometer off-road. But despite all the characteristics and even the presence of machines to transfer, the main factor regarding the choice of tank for VSU can be a question of service. In Europe, only one Abrams operator if you don't take itself. US Army is Poland, which only recently got the first cars on training and contracted 116 units 1.1 Abrams FAP and 250 meters 1A2s V3 with total price tag in a staggering $8.5 billion, so it should be borne in mind that factory repairs Abrams on logistics will be entrusted only on the capabilities of the European Command. US forces in Europe at the same time. Repairs Leopard 2 may well be deployed in the same Poland, which is not only quite a long time ago operates Leopard 2 and 4 Leopard 2.5 and also conduct independent modernization of machines to the Leopard 2 place version, and which tank is better suited to the Super. Your opinion share in the comments. Thanks for watching. The likes and comments